There you go.
All right, Cody King.
Hey Brett, what you doing, man?
It's been a long day, long Friday.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You've been having to work a lot, haven't you?
I know working ain't no good. They supposed to be hunting, but sometimes you gotta. Dog food's expensive.
Yeah, it is. How about how has the hunting been going?
Hunting's been pretty good. I haven't been lion hunting much. Uh, Lion calls kind of slowed down a bunch, but bobcat hunting's been pretty good. But it's sure starting to get dry down here again, and it's making it. It's just now starting to get pretty tough. Not catching them like you were before, but we
Yeah.
still managed to get a couple caught.
Well, good, good. Man, I've been so busy. I've got this guy that's going to take over my business, and
Yeah,
that's
you got to be getting excited about that. See
I
the light
am.
at the end of the tunnel, man.
I am. It's just you know I it's kind of hard to let go. You can I imagine you can imagine that, and
Yeah,
it's hard to let go. And then I have to spend a lot of time, with him. So, but it's getting better. He's smart, real smart.
I got a I got a young man that just started working with me, kind of with the same goal in mind of you, and it's a process, that's for sure. Doesn't happen overnight, but looking forward to it none the same.
Cool. Is that bit? Let's see. Chris said I was quiet.
You're not anymore.
Am I too loud? Somebody answer me. Cody is loud and you're quiet, Brett.
I don't know how to make myself quieter. I could
Whisper.
just talk like this if you want me to.
Whisper. So you sent me some pictures. Let me see. You know, I've only used this program what 3 or 4 times now, and it's that's better. Every time it's new to me. I need to get more. I need to use it more often, so I become more familiar with it. Wow, I got a bad echo in my ear.
You sound good on my end.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it says we both sound perfect. That's good to know. So,
I can't see the chat though. I don't know that matters, but for some reason it went away.
I got it on my screen. I don't know how to share that. I mean, I can share my screen right there.
I can't see that.
Huh. But anyway, get to the subject. So so what this was you and Derek Edwards thought this deal up.
Yeah, it
So
got a little excitement coming pretty soon. Derek's a hound hunter. He's from North Texas, but he does a lot of hunting in Oklahoma, and he's been coming down hunting with me, for a few months now. We've been catching some cats. They say that country up there, number one from just being different. They say them cats are pretty tough to catch, and you and I were talking on the phone one day, and you got to be careful who your friends are, because you go to bragging and saying, "Oh, my dogs go up there and catch those cats," and then you got Brett Vaughn going, "All right, let's go," and I'll film it and put it on YouTube for the world to see. So we'll see how big of a fool I can make out of myself.
so you're planning on go we're going to go the 4th, correct? The 4th of March.
The fourth is a Saturday. I think I'm gonna go the night of the second and kind of hang out, and maybe we can meet on the third, and then we'll hunt maybe the night of the third, and then on the fourth, and then maybe Sunday morning a little bit if my dog's got anything left.
Do you What part of Oklahoma are you going into?
Yeah, it's just outside Broken Bow, Oklahoma. I don't know exactly where it's at. Derek sent me a pin, and I know it's about 10-hour drive north, and kind of kind of hurts to drive 10 hours through some of the best cat country in the world, to go hunt somewhere else. But
Well,
you know,
I'm you can catch cats in good cat country.
yeah, that's exactly right.
So what you need now is a challenge.
And I don't know a whole lot about that country. Uh, it's cutover country. It's a bunch of logging country. In fact, the place that we're gonna hunt uh, is a bunch of area. They come in and log the pine trees, and evidently when they do that, uh, the undergrowth will come back immediately and start getting really really thick. And I
Hmm.
guess there's a bunch of blackberries and dewberries and kind of different vines that grow pretty thick and is pretty tough on them dogs. I've never experienced it, but I've heard people talk about it forever. But they say a lot of those cats don't tree, Brad. They say a lot of them will run on the ground. Some of them guys talk about running cats for hours.
But
And
you're not taking tree dogs though.
no, they want to run. We're taking running dogs, that's for sure. We'll see how it. The only thing I'm really worried about is two things. I've talked to Scott on Game Hound Nation a time or two about hunting up there, and then talking to Derek. Uh, those Fireball gonna catch them. Blackbeard kennels. It's a Norman Davidson reference right there. That makes me smile. They, but both Scott and Derek said that those cats run them roads a lot. You get after them and they'll come out and run down the road for a long ways. And anybody who spends much time running bobcats knows that them roads are killers.
Hmm.
They run down that any animal. And but we'll see how it goes. They may not spend so much time running down those roads when they got a pack of running dogs on their butt. But
When they got a pack of South Texas running hounds on them.
yeah, the other thing that'll be interesting to see is a lot of this country that I hunt down here. There's not a tree over 15 foot tall, and we're going to be running bobcats and pine trees. So we'll see if these South Texas dogs can locate up there.
Oh, so they have some pretty high trees.
Yeah, there's it's a lot of it's been timbered. So I don't think there's 150-foot tall trees like over on the West Coast or anything like that. But there's definitely going to be some trees that are quite a bit bigger than what I'm normally
Ha-
experiencing.
Have you ever had trouble with your dogs locating at all? I mean, in if the cat was hiding or
You know, um, I've been fortunate. I've been very, very fortunate in my cat hunting career that I've always had some dogs that located pretty well. But I've talked to cat hunters over the years. I've gotten a call. A cat hunter will call you up and go, "Man, I need a tree dog bad. The run a cat for 40 minutes, and then I have to walk out there with a flashlight and find the cat."
hmm.
That's a consequence of running dogs. And uh, and a lot of that'll go back to the couple of years I've been spending throwing some blue tick in there with them and trying to get that ironed out a little bit. But I've been really lucky. I got a dog named Dolly that came from she came from Joe Brayman originally over at Mellon Creek, and she's a treeing fool, man.
Hmm.
And Tina and Peaches and Ricochet, that I bet they'll get it done. But they're slow to tree. And I've posted some videos. I don't know if you've ever seen them. I've probably sent them to you, but I've got a couple of videos where I filmed the cat going up the tree, and then it's several minutes. Them dogs running around before they'll locate it. You know, they can be slow to trees sometimes, but they're right. You know, I mean, when they do locate there's a cat there somewhere.
You don't have any slick trees down there.
No, no, and short trees kind of help with that a bunch. Uh, but I, you know, some of my escapades down to central Mexico and stuff with them hounds, uh, we got into some pretty tall trees, and they located,
Do
you
they,
know.
there where you're going, have they said what the cat population is like?
You know, there's not as many cats as there is in South Texas.
There's
Uh,
not as many cats anywhere in the world as there is in South
yeah,
Texas.
you know, I don't think, you know, you see them pictures that I've got on Facebook and stuff, and 9 cats hanging on the side of the truck. You know, I don't think you have to worry about replicating that in Oklahoma, but I think there's a, I think there's a good enough population where everybody seems, everybody that I've talked to seems pretty confident that we'll be able to find one. It just
Get
may
on
take
one.
some time to do it.
Pretty good road system and everything down over there.
Yeah, it's not big private ranches like down home or down here. It's not going to be as good as roads, but there's enough. Derek said that there's enough, and Derek actually bought a house up there, years ago.
Hmm.
And he hunts up there a lot, and he'll be with us. So,
Good.
he knows it all really well, and he'll be able to help us out and find some cats. I think. I hope. Long
It
way to drive,
is
but that's
I mean I've heard of some other cat hunters there in Oklahoma. I think it was Clyde Lawson was a cat hunter over there. There's a oh, I can't remember. There was an older man over there. Matter of fact, I was supposed to go interview him at some point. Uh, I want to say
Hootie Shaw.
Hootie
Is that?
Shaw. Isn't he a cat hunter?
I've heard that name, so he's
Yeah.
got to be somewhere. I've never met him. I don't know him, but that name sounds familiar.
And then Cole's Cat Hounds. I think they're somewhere there in Oklahoma. They've kind of made their name with cat hounds. So
Yeah,
there got to be a few of them around.
Cletus Dale Cole.
There
I
you
talk
go.
to him
Yep.
on Facebook every once in a while.
Yep.
That's a gentleman that's been hunting a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I I believe. I hope I'm not talking sideways, but I think he runs blue ticks or
He,
pot lickers.
I know at some point he bred some Mathis hounds into his dogs, or his
Really.
dad did, back years ago. I don't know where I
And
heard that from.
Otis Llewellyn, was living over there, but I don't know. I don't know if he spends much time bobcat hunting uh, or not. Jason Clark, there will be a big moisture difference. It is extremely dry down here, and one of the things that's very unique about where I live in South Texas, besides the ginormous cat population, they uh, our conditions change so much. I mean, you can come down here one day and look at our hunting country, and it's green and beautiful and lush, and I mean, at times our conditions are probably some of the best conditions in the country for catching bobcats. Man, it rains, that buffalo grass gets green, and everything, it's like an oasis. Um, then you come back in 6 months and it hasn't rained, and we can be probably some of the worst conditions in the country, especially in July and August. It gets hot. I mean, you'll be hunting in the morning at daylight, it'll be 80 degrees and so dry. There's nothing better than dirt when it's wet and green and lush, but there's nothing worse than a bunch of nasty dust and
What
wind, you know.
what time of year is best in your country?
You know, when it rains, sometimes we get our rain anytime. Generally now is really good, but it's starting to get pretty dry. Fall, I really like the fall because a lot of times, being so close to the coast, we'll get a lot of tropical rain, and once it starts cooling off, hunting will be pretty good. Last October, uh, man, I think from September 1st to November 1st, I think I caught like 21 bobcats and three lions. It was, conditions were just
Real good.
perfect. Yeah.
How about temperatures? I mean, does it freeze down there where y'all are at all?
We'll get a little bit of frost maybe a day or two a year. Uh, it's not that's not an issue. But where we're going there in Oklahoma, it's pretty good conditions. It doesn't fluctuate as much as it does down here. It's not as dry as it is down here. So that's one thing we'll have going for us, and I'm kind of excited about that. The conditions ought to be good. So if we can find some, they ought to be able to trail them.
Ah, Blackbeard Kennels, Otis Llewellyn. And matter of fact, he called me today. He's over here in our country. He's a old time houndsman, been around forever. Had guided lion hunters and all kinds of bears and everything here in New Mexico, and he spent quite a bit of time in Oklahoma the last few years. And I was hoping he'd be there this time, but I think he's over here probably about. Oh, he's got a camp set up probably about 80 miles from where I'm at right now. But
Has he been doing any good? Did you talk to him today?
he thought he treated lion the other day, but he lost signal on his dogs and couldn't get to him and had some difficulties. But same thing. I mean, he, he he said that he's been having a hard time finding a lion track,
Yeah.
and I've heard that from quite a few people. I've been pretty fortunate. I caught that female the other day, and then I trailed. Shoot, I trailed 2 day old track. I've been trying to make the video, but typical of my videography, I bought a new mic for my camera, and it had a rattle in it. And the whole time I'm videoing, you hear dot 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 dot, and it just irritates the crap out of me. So I've been trying to figure out a way to make that into a video. But
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, see,
Yeah.
the last, like this morning, I told my wife, I said, geez, I said, I don't know. I guess I'm getting old because this cold weather, I just can't handle it like I used to. But when I got out in the truck and started it, it said it was 18 degrees outside. So
That's
I
pretty
thought,
good.
yeah. So I mean, that's one of the problems we have here is that, it freezes almost every night, but then it might get up to 65 during the day. So,
Yeah, that's we have that issue down here in the wintertime a lot as well. Like you say, it'll be 40 in the morning and 80 in the day, and those temperature swings really seem to affect tracks a lot. Uh, I think when that temperature swings 40 degrees one way or the other in such a short time, it makes trailing tough. Several cat hunters that I've been talking to lately down here, uh, and I've had some of the same issue, but been trailing cats, and you get them jumped, and you run them for a couple minutes, and the dogs make a lose, and then when they pick it up, they got to go back to trailing again.
mhm.
It's conditions are tough, but them temperature swings hurt.
Yeah.
They
I
hurt
mean,
quite.
in ours, if the freezing, thawing, and it it makes it real difficult, especially if there's a little bit of frost or a little bit of moisture, and it freezes down, and then and it'll confuse you because depending on when the lion walked through there, what it did if it's walking on top of the frost or if it was walking below it and then the freezing came in. I mean, you can have differing conditions between a north and south slope. I mean, it can get real confusing.
Yeah, you hear you always hear stories from you mountain guys about how you can always trail better on one side and than the other. Ruben used to hear those stories and he'd kind of joke around and he'd say, "Yeah, that's because when the lion's going downhill, he's dragging his tail, leaving leaving more scent, you know."
uh, Cody caught,
Right.
what you caught 80 something bobcats last year, didn't you?
Man, that was. I need to add them up. Uh, I think I caught 78 year before last, but last year I bet I got close to 90, 85 somewhere in there. I had a I had a pretty good year last year. I only caught four lions in total in the whole year, 2022. Um, but but not Alan Smith. Alan Smith is from. He's a coon hunter, Brett. I met
Oh,
him on
really?
Facebook, and he's he kind of introduced me to the competition coon hunting world, and I didn't even know that it existed. And when I met Alan, he kind of showed me some stuff on Facebook. We kind of became buddies, uh, and it's amazing. You start looking into this competition coon hunting, and man, it's crazy. It's really cool, and but Alan, he sent me this on my birthday. Actually, this picture
Oh,
I
that's
had
cool.
posted. I had posted it on Facebook, and a picture of my hounds in a tank, and Alan sent it to Walgreens or somewhere, and had it made into a little canvas. I got it here on my desk. But
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, those coon hunters, they live in their own world.
Oh, big money, man. Alan and his buddy go off somewhere, and some buddy of his won a truck last year, and it's some of them coon hunts big money, big money. And but there's some of them coon hunting Facebook groups are pretty drama filled groups too. It pretty look like a episode of Real Housewives. It's pretty comical sometimes. You get that much money involved, and people get a little different. Some of them,
Oh, I bet.
but you caught a lion the other day, or I guess not the other day, but not too long ago.
hmm I've caught. How did we decide we're going to count them? I've caught three this year.
Caught three this year. Yeah, I got some catching up to do.
I should have caught
But,
that. I should have caught that. I trailed that. It was kind of a weird deal. I'd gone out with the biologist. He said that he had found a lion track out there, and I went out there, and it was a small track. We trailed around a little bit out there, and then I went out the next day to a place I hadn't been in a couple of years. I know it'd been about a year and a half or so, and I going up the arroyo, and there was a big track, going up the arroyo, and it looked fairly fresh to me, and we trailed here and there and hit it. We could hit it. I mean, what you have in this country, you'll have those protected bottoms where there's bedrock, and the dogs can really trail an old track in there. And then you'll have the greasewood flats tops. You can't hardly trail in there. And then the sandy arroyo, the dogs have a real hard time trailing in there, but you can trail by sight. So we
yeah,
picked our way all the way up through there and got up to a little rough canyon I had trailed into before, and I let the dogs, they were that lion had been all over that canyon, and they were balling here and balling there and going. And I thought, yeah, it's getting late. We need to get out of here. So got on my mule and rode across the canyon and hollered them on. They came out of there, and I'll be danged if they didn't hit that track again. But this time they hit it pretty good, and they were moving it, moving it, moving it. And I'll be danged, we trailed up to a kill that was completely cleaned up. So the only thing I can figure is that, we were trailing an old track coming into there. That lion had come down and drank water because that little rough canyon we were in had water in it. And then that lion had walked out of that water and went back up to his kill. I mean, and I could make up some crap. We were, that kill was, it was fresh, but it was completely cleaned up. So who knows? Overnight, 2 days, I don't know. Hell,
You sent me a picture of it, and it's hard to judge anything by a picture. And and I'm a bobcat hunter, not a lion hunter, anyways. But when you sent me that picture, it was late in the afternoon, and it looked to me like it was 2 nights old. You know,
when we trailed to it, we didn't get there to it until like 4 o'clock, and we'd been out since 7 that morning. So, but and then I thought, well, and it was a big track, and I thought, well, I'll catch this sucker tomorrow. You know, I'll manifest my Orville Fletcher or Dale Lee and guess where he was going, and I brought in the other dogs, and I missed him somewhere. I mean, I rode through that country, and then I went out the following day too, just in the buggy, to try to hit some big arroyos and some different places where I thought I might be able to, see his track leaving out of there, and never could find him.
I kind of joke with my hunting buddy Slade sometimes. I always say that uh, if you want to know uh, where not to find a lion, it's wherever I think he should be. Sometimes I try to think where he is, and it never fails. He could go 3 ways, and I'd pick the wrong two before I'd pick the right one.
No, that's of course I'm out there hunting by myself all the time. I can pretend and act like
Yeah,
I know where he's going, but it's no big deal. There you go. Are you roaring and striking jump tracks or cold trail into the jump? Now that I'm going to answer this for Cody because he told me every jump starts with a trail.
that's exactly. Well, almost. They, uh, we have so many cats down here, Luke, that uh, I mean, if you had to put a percentage on it, I don't know. I would say it's less than 10%, maybe 5% of the time. It's just a race. You're roading your dogs down the road, idling in the truck, and then, I mean, it goes from dead silence to 12 dogs barking and the race is on. And that's just a consequence of how many cats we have. We come across a pretty decent number of just super hot tracks. But the majority of them, uh, they got to trail them up. Now some of them are better trails than others, but they got to cold trail them. If especially down here when it gets dry, you got to have cold trailing dogs, or you're not going to catch a lot of cats. And the reason that I say that, in this South Texas country, when it's bad conditions, 20-minute old track may be too cold to catch. You know, it. I mean,
Well, yeah, that's a difference between, what
I,
a
I,
bobcat hunter and a lion hunter.
yeah, and I've caught bobcats that were 8 hours old. Had
Mm.
pictures of them on camera, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't think I've ever 2 day old lion track. I don't think that I've ever trailed a 2 day old lion track. But in this dirt, I don't know that anybody would have much success at
No,
trailing 2 day old lion tracks.
you got to be on rock. I mean,
You get in that rock, it's a different world.
yeah. The
And
problem
that's
is
one
the
thing. A lot of people ask me about my prejudice to the running dogs, and the fact is, they say, well, you don't like the pot lickers and the colder trailing ability. And the fact is, where I live down here, because of the dirt and the conditions, um, you're not going to gain a whole lot because the conditions are so bad and you're in the dirt that you're not trailing 2 day old tracks anyways. Even with the best cold nosed dogs in the world, you're not going to be able to do like you do up there in the rock or in the snow. It's just different. It's just different. Tracks don't last as long when the conditions are bad. And that's not always. A lot of times the conditions are good. But Norman Davidson always told me a story. He said they caught a lion down in Mexico years ago, and they started it at a canyon and they trailed it to the north and caught it. And then the next morning, this was one morning, the next morning they were hunting further south and they trailed the lion all the way to where they started it the day before, and then the dogs wouldn't go on the covered track. So, uh, you know, Norman said he trailed a 2 day old lion track, and he said conditions were really good though. So
I could see some
all
things,
of
but
them, Jason. That's my. How many dogs do you put on a bobcat track? Right now, I'm running 12 dogs, and I hunt them all. And uh, you know, another kind of interesting story. A guy named Alan, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Alan Listall, but he was from Pennsylvania, I think.
he's the
I don't
man
know.
that's on the thumbnail of this live that I put up, isn't it?
No, that's my dad standing next to me.
Oh, okay.
He's, but he's the man that took that picture.
Oh, okay.
Alan Listall. He hunts bears in Wisconsin, and then he hunts bobcats in Michigan or Pennsylvania or somewhere up there. Uh, he came down and hunted with me, and he drove a very long, like 1,600 miles, and came down and hunted with me for, I don't know, we hunted 3 or 4 days. We caught 6 bobcats uh, while he was down here, and we had a blast. And we really had a blast. And he got to see some South Texas dogs, and I got to see some northern dogs. But what made me think of that was uh, Alan was telling me that up there in the snow when they're hunting, a lot of times the more dogs will hurt you. He said a lot of them cat hunters up there will just hunt a couple dogs. And I think he had four. I think he had 5 dogs with him when he came down. And but up north they do hunt those bobcats with fewer dogs. But down here in the dry country and in the thick brush and the prickly pear and especially in the prickly pear, you need a few more dogs than normal.
Well, and I think it's a different style. I mean, in the snow and everything, they put too many dogs down. They stomp out that track, and where you guys are moving tracks through the brush and stuff, probably a little different deal.
Yeah, they. But Alan had good dogs though. I was. I've had a few guys come down and hunt with me with some snow dogs and stuff, and not talking anything bad about anyone's dogs, but just as my dogs would do bad in certain places they've never been exposed to. I've had a lot of them dogs come down and hit this prickly pear thickets, and come out looking like porcupines and never want to set foot in that brush again. And Alan's dogs came out looking like porcupines, but they they came out looking like porcupines and tired from running the hell out of some bobcats. They sure did good. And every hunt they progressed a little better. But he had running walkers, and they they sure did good. They impressed me quite a bit. I'd never seen a Yankee running walker before. I thought that was only in this mountain. That's
Yankee.
Ricochet.
Ricochet with his lion.
Yeah, it.
That looks
I
like it
started
could be in my backyard.
I started that bobcat. Me and Slade. I mean that lion. Me and Slade started that lion about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we caught it about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We it was a we caught a bobcat. There's a That's the same lion, and we actually caught three bobcats that day. And the dogs twisted off on the lion and treat a bobcat. So we had to shoot the bobcat to get the dogs back on the lion trail. And then we treed the lion and we shot the lion. And we're sitting there high fiving and hipping and hooraying and all this. And while we're sitting there trying to catch our breath, them dogs go to trailing. That's that's a good South Texas. That's the biggest lion I've ever caught. That one there. Uh, that young boy right there is named Reed Wood. He's 13 years old, and uh, that lion right there was a running fool. And they ran that lion a long time, longer than lions are supposed to run. But he would bay up on the ground and kind of catch his breath, and then he was trotting in front of them dogs, and he'd stop and fight and then trot some more. So I mean, he wasn't really running the whole time. But from the time they jumped that cat, it was an hour till he finally bayed and let us get up on him.
What dog is that up on the box?
That's Reed's yellow lab that
I was
he
gonna,
brought. Everybody sees that picture and says, "There's the real cat dog sitting on top of the truck."
gonna say that don't look like a running walker.
But
So
that boy,
how'd you start the lion? Tell me the story.
well, that line with Reed, uh, we had to swim. That lion swam on us several times, and we actually treed that lion on an island. We had to go get a boat to get that lion out of there. It was pretty cool. But the first lion you showed, me and Slade were hunting, and we were trailing an old bobcat, and I just was walking around, and I happened to see a lion track on the other side of a game fence, and it had rained uh, a day and a half before that, so we knew it was somewhat fresh, and we trailed on that thing all day, and we caught a bobcat. Then we went and put them on the lion track, and they started it, and they twisted off, and we had to bring them back to the lion track. And then while we were sitting there celebrating our lion, the dogs went to trailing again right there and treed, and we thought it was another lion. you know, uh, I thought, oh man, there's a female with him or something or another tom, but it was a third bobcat. So we caught three bobcats and one mountain lion in the day. We were pretty tired that day.
I bet. I bet.
We
So
walked several miles on foot.
so we're gonna go to Oklahoma. You're taking 11 dogs. I think I got a list of the dogs you're taking here somewhere.
I think I'm going to take. I think I'm going to take 10,
10.
maybe 11. It depends if I take Taco or not. I haven't decided. It's going to depend on how he behaves the next 2 weekends
What's
before.
what's what's Taco's problem?
He's
No.
hard-headed little puppy. Yeah, he caught his first bobcat.
Here we
Uh,
go. We got Ricochet. He's a start dog.
Ricochet's a start dog and a jump dog, which is that's you don't see that combination very often. Usually your start dogs are your trailing dogs, but but he's not. He's kind of special in that aspect. He'll start a lot of cats, but he's not going to sit there and trail them. He's going to go out and look for, try to hit it a little hotter. Really helps move the tracks along quite a bit.
Loud?
Loud's my pride and joy, man. I need to sit down and figure out exactly how old she is. I've been calling her uh, a year and a half old pup for about a year and a half now. So she's probably 2.5 now, and at 2, she was probably the best dog that I have.
Tina?
And uh, Tina's a good, and Loud is the last pup that Ruben Lossman ever crossed. He
Oh,
crossed his rooster dog with Rough, and that's where Loud came from. Tina's uh Tina's an old start dog, trailing dog. She uh she lost her voice, and when she lost her voice years ago, Ruben said, "Man, that Jip lost her voice, and now I can't hear her," and he gave her to me. And kind of comical, but about 3 months ago, Ruben Lossman passed away, and about 3 months ago, Tina's voice came back.
wow.
And she had a big mouth, and then when she lost her voice, I mean, it just sounded like a little screech. You couldn't hear her from 50 yards away, but the other dogs could hear her, when they were together.
Hmm.
And about the same time Ruben died, her voice came back. Now she got a big mouth again.
I'll be down. Peaches?
Coincidence, but kind of cool.
Peaches?
Peaches is a pretty good dog, a really good dog. Uh, when I had that dog poisoned a couple years ago, uh, a gentleman replaced my dog, or his insurance company did, and the insurance company bought Peaches from Clinto Brown, and Clinto
Uh,
Brown had bought Peaches from Robbie Hertz. Peaches came from Robbie, and
Eve?
when Robbie cheat who
Eve?
Eve uh, Eve's a jump dog deluxe. She's pretty good at her job. She jumps most of cats. Funny
Uh,
thing about Eve has never trailed a bobcat in her life. She's a pure jump dog, but she'll trail the hell out of a lion.
that's weird.
Yeah, she really likes a lion for some reason. And her son Stocky's the same way. He won't trail a bobcat, but he'll trail a lion.
Are they bred different than your other dogs? Do they come out of different stuff?
I mean, Stocky's out of Ricochet and Eve, but Eve came from Mississippi, uh, I believe, and she's a little bit different. She's not a South Texas running dog, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I think you get away from. I've said it a million times here and everywhere else. Us South Texas cat hunters, we call our dogs running walkers, but you did a DNA test on them.
Hmm.
They've all got a little bit of pot liquor mixed in them somewhere, I bet. But Eve's a true running dog, but she don't have much trailing. But you can have too many trailing dogs down here. You got to have both. You got to have both.
What, if you, do you think you could take two of these dogs and go out in your country or one and catch a bobcat?
Not consistently.
Takes a team.
Yeah. I mean, I've caught bobcats with one dog, and it can be done. Don't get me. I'm not saying no one's ever done it. I've done it. I've caught a lot of bobcats with one dog over the years. One dog get off by itself, and you come back 20 minutes later looking for your dog and he's treat, especially before GPS collars, but not consistently. No, you wouldn't. I don't think anybody could. Maybe someday somebody come down and hunt with me and prove me wrong, but I just don't think you could. I couldn't, not with my dogs.
But you could take like three of these dogs, a start dog, a jump dog, and a trail dog, and catch them.
Yeah, 3 or 4 dogs, you can catch some cats. 3 or 4 good dogs. It'd have to be pretty good dogs, but you get in. and a lot of it just depends on where you're at. You know,
Hmm.
you get in some of that farmland country, yeah, you could probably catch a cat or two with one or two dogs, but you get in that thick prickly pear, and Alan, he hunted with me for a few days, and when we were kind of wrapping up the hunt, he said, "Man, I really understand why y'all hunt so many dogs now. It's just it's tough for them
Yeah.
dogs to get through there and get around. And
Oh, I know.
yeah, it's it's a different it's a
Uh,
different world.
so you're going to go to Oklahoma. Well, what we plan on doing is I'm going to film. I'm going to film it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and conversations we have. The
They'll probably be more bad than good.
the excuses. So, but then, and then after that, we'll put together a video and get it out. I don't know. I don't know. I'll probably put it on my channel, or we'll put it on that other channel we have, and uh, and then we'll do another live after that, and kind of go over what you thought and what we thought about the hunt.
Yeah, and that'll be one thing that's pretty cool because quite a few people reach out to me on Facebook, and quite a few people reach out to me asking for opinions and advice about dogs, and I have to tell a lot of them, man, I've never seen that country. I don't know. You know, I know that I know that there's some people out there that say them cats run real hard, and that they've never had luck with South Texas dogs catching them. And hell, it may be true.
Mm-hmm.
At least until they got acclimated to an area. But uh, one thing that I find interesting is they say, down here where I live, it's about 50-50. About 50% of the cats tree, and about 50% of the cats don't tree. But they say it's way more don't tree up there than down here. And it'll be interesting to see if these dogs can make them tree, or if they're gonna run it out, or what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've told Brett, Brett's gonna go video this hunt, and I told Brett, he can make a fool out of me. My luck, my dogs will probably go bay up a freaking
Wow.
Jersey cow in the middle of a field or something, and but what it is what it is, and it'll be a learning experience for me. And then one thing that a lot of people do is everybody's biased to their own dogs. If you weren't, I'd think there's something wrong with you. And everybody's biased to their own country, so everybody kind of, oh, my dogs are great, and my country's the toughest, and uh, but nobody ever really puts them to the test. And so that'll be one thing that's kind of interesting, is for me to see and to let everybody else see exactly what they'll do. And like you say, we can have a live when it's done, and uh, hopefully I'll be able to tell you exactly what went right, what went wrong, what I learned, and I think everybody will find it interesting
Mm-hmm.
and helpful. You know.
Sure. I mean, that's. I mean, I've been around for a while, and I've talked to a lot of old time hunters in different places and stuff. A lot of old time houndsmen, and every area has a type of dog that they believe is best. What works in their area. And I think a lot of it depends on the type of hunting you're doing. There's been people that have taken, the South Texas running type dogs and brought them into different places and hunted lions and stuff. And I've heard the same thing from a lot of these old guys say, yeah, it takes a team, but those old cold nosed trailing hounds that a lot of people use have their place where the out here where the lion density is not that great. and you got to figure out where those lions are going. It's not like you can just leave this one in that canyon and or in this canyon and go say, wow, we can hit a warmer track over there on the other side.
No, and especially like hunting off horseback. I mean, I turn loose and I start driving, and I mean, I'll drive 35 miles in a night hunting,
Mm-hmm.
and so you can have a little bit warmer nosed dogs because you're covering so much more country, and uh, where
Yeah.
you hunt and where you live is probably the worst conditions for lion hunting in the entire country. I mean, it's bad desert, nasty.
Some of it, and there's, and it's the reason why I don't bump into other lion hunters.
Yeah, yeah.
But I plan on going to some better country. But
But
anyway,
you've caught them there too,
yeah.
though. I
I
mean,
mean, if you look at the area, I mean, on this side of the river, I mean, in the last 12 years, there's only been like 4 lions caught on this side of the river, and I've caught 3 of them. So
yeah.
that was,
No, and that's when you catch a lion where you hunt, you've accomplished something.
but
You
I
know.
mean, you know, I'm different than a lot of guys too. I mean, if I can get my dogs out there and I get them on a lion track and they'll trail and we're moving and I know I'm going the right direction, I'm pretty happy. And where a lot of young guys, they don't have the patience for that. They want to see that hide. They want to kill something.
Yeah. No, and people message me all the time asking about lion dogs and stuff, and I just tell everybody, man, I'm a bobcat hunter that just happens to catch a few lions. I mean,
Hmm.
if I had to hunt as much as I hunt to catch a lion, but wasn't catching bobcats in the middle while I was lion hunting, I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, it it's it's tough. You know, even them old timers, even in good condition, you really sit back and analyze some of the numbers of some of them old timers. They say this guy caught 400 lions in his life, and you think, man, well that guy hunted for 40 years. That's 10
Hmm.
lions a year. That's less than a lion a month, and he says he hunted 21 days a month. You know,
Hmm.
so I mean, he hunted more than 21 days in a row to catch one lion.
Yeah, those,
So,
most of those old time dry ground lion hunters, when you talk to them, I mean, they were hunting 6 days a week
yeah.
and really
I think Henry
pounding rocks.
McIntyre caught 349 lions in his life because when he was kind of on his deathbed, it's the only time I ever got to meet him. And I asked him how many lions he had caught. He said 349, and he said I'd sure like to make it 350.
Hmm.
So
And most of those came before. Well, I know they came before the cameras and everything. And Henry is the one who told me when I talked to him. I said, "How do you hunt lions, Henry?" He said, "I take good dogs into good lion country and I ride circles." And that just kind of stuck with me.
yeah, no, that's
So
that's exactly right. But I'm excited about Oklahoma, man. I'm glad you're coming. I
I
think
am
we'll
too.
have.
I'm anxious to see what happens. Uh, and then after Oklahoma, where do you want to go next?
We'll see where it leads, but I'm ready to go.
We need to get you over here, and I want to see how those dogs work in some of these areas where I know there's some bobcats, and
Yeah,
uh, and take you out and do some lion hunting too. Um,
and that would be one thing pretty cool is to be able to, maybe once or twice a year, kind of go on a destination hunt together and see how the dogs do in different areas, and maybe we can, one thing you need to go, especially if you're going just for a limited time, to go film a video, you really need someone from that area that kind of knows the
yeah,
area and knows where to take us. So maybe we can kind of search on here and find a few volunteers to guide us around for a couple days while we go hunting, and I'd like to go hunt in the snow sometime.
Do you know what
Uh,
I'd like for you to
I
do?
just never done it, so it'd be. I want to go drive around with a warm cup of coffee, looking for a track, and I
That'd
think that'd be. I think
that'd be
that'd be
fun.
pretty. Yeah,
We'll go to Nevada.
yeah. We've talked about Nevada before. You said you got a place to go over there and a place to
Yes.
stay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure do. And see, we need people in the comments. Everybody in the comments, let us know if we should try to get him up in Oregon or Washington, where some of those there's bobcat hunters up there, like they're in South Texas.
I think that's the only place in America that has bobcat numbers relative to South Texas.
It'd be neat to see what those South Texas running walkers do in some of that tall timber.
Yeah, they probably just walk around in circles wondering where that bobcat went. But
Trying to get all that moisture off their feet.
yeah, literally a rainforest.
That'd be cool.
But that would be fun. Derek. Derek had lost a few dogs and had kind of gotten in a tough shape with his pack, and he bought some dogs from Oregon, a pack of them, like 5 or 6, and had them shipped to Oklahoma, and he brought them down to South Texas and hunted them with me some, and one thing that really amazed me about those dogs is they were excellent rig dogs. I mean, rig bobcats out of the truck driving down the road 30 miles an hour, just as good as start dogs start them on the ground. I mean, excellent rig dogs. So, and then talking to him, Derek said that quite a few of those guys over there rigged those bobcats.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty interesting, and
What
they
do
were pretty good at it.
they call it? Boxing.
Boxing,
Yeah, I think that's what one of the terms they use.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
call it cheating. I call it being jealous. I wish I could. And Dolly rigs out of the truck when I'm driving. She starts quite a few bobcats, but
that's cool.
I I wish I could have dogs that rigged like that, because especially like now, March, April, man, the rattlesnakes get so bad down here. It would be nice just to be able to rig them dogs along and not have to worry about them getting snake bit so bad.
Instead of exposing them to all the snakes.
Yeah,
There you go.
there he is.
Oregon, then Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. Man, we got a tour.
Yeah, I want to go to Mississippi sometime.
Arkansas.
Yeah. Oh,
You've
and
you've already been challenged, if I remember
yeah,
correctly.
there's some history to that. I got to go to Mississippi and catch a cat one of these days. But uh, Michael Rook, he's a South Texas cat hunter that he moved to Florida, and he's hunting those cats in pretty swampy country. I mean, he sends me videos, and them dogs are running in water. I mean,
Wow.
like the whole cat race. And so it maybe be pretty neat to run over there. It just depends if anybody wants to see it or not, but it'd be fun to do either way.
Yeah. Yep. Just get me a plane ticket.
You gonna? Yeah, that's a long way to drive, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But all right. Anything else, Cody?
man, that's all I got, man. Enjoyed catching up with you.
Yeah, it's good. You need
It
to after Oklahoma though, I would like for you to come over here. You got a place to stay and before it gets too hot
yeah.
and
You think it'd be better to do it when it's raining in July, or is it be too hot then?
be too hot in this desert.
Yeah,
We're not supposed to run our dogs at night. And I mean, you can go coon hunting. I mean, I guess we could go coon hunting and catch a bobcat, but uh, you know, bobcats and lions, you're only supposed to run during the daylight.
really. Yeah, it'd be too hot then.
But oh, well, and get up into April, up in the high country, you go up like, well, you went up not too long ago, not too far from here, and
Yeah,
some of that
that's different
country,
country though.
yeah, some of that country can be really good in March and April, and
Yeah.
be,
When do you think would be the best time to come?
I mean, right now is
Yeah,
good down here. The problem is the time. I don't have much time, but
yeah. Maybe have to wait till the fall, you think, or
well, yeah, the fall, and then we have to time it good because of all the the deer hunters.
deer
I mean,
seasons?
there's not. I mean, there's just on public land, and the deer hunters get in there, and you know, I just hate to. A lot of areas, when the bow hunt's going on in September, you can't have your dogs out, and but then after
Yeah,
that, I kind of feel bad. These guys get, 1 week a year. They have to draw that hunt, and whether the dogs interfere with their hunt or not, they might think they do,
yeah.
and you just hate to cause that
You
conflict.
you use it all year. You can let them have a week or two. You
Yeah,
know.
and we usually, the hunt. They'll have a hunt that starts on a Saturday, and it'll run till Thursday, and so or till Wednesday, excuse me. So then you have that Thursday and Friday you can get out. And typically, you got, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because most of those guys are weekend hunters.
Yeah. Well, and we were maybe going to go to Oklahoma a little earlier in the year, but we had to wait for their deer season to get over as well.
Yeah. But right now in this desert, I mean, we've had a cold streak, which kind of makes it miserable. Used to not bother me. Now it bothers me a
Yeah,
little bit.
you're
But
getting old.
I know, I know. Let's don't talk about
You have to
it.
get a pair of insulin. I saw an ad on Facebook the other day, and it had a pair of coveralls that had a battery hooked up to it, and it had copper wire. It was a heated pair of coveralls. I'll get you some of those for Christmas.
Yeah, put a big old solar panel on my back to keep that
Yeah,
battery charged up.
it gets cold up there. Where 18 degrees is cold
It's cold.
when you're
Yeah.
trying to hunt.
But I've just had a lot. There was really no excuse. I should have been out this morning, but I I had a doctor's appointment today, and then I had a phone call, and then I had a meeting at 10. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on. So
Yeah,
hard for me. I've been just throwing some hounds in the buggy and going down on the river. That's where I caught that female earlier, this
yeah.
year.
Is there any bobcats on that river, Brett?
Yes, there you are.
I mean, I seen your videos and stuff, and that seemed like a place that I'd
There's
probably like to hunt.
there's more if you get up in some of these big old drainages, the canyons, the arroyos, whatever you want to call them. There's some that have some big old boulders and brush and stuff, and that's kind of where those bobcats like to hang out. And I've caught a couple, and in some different areas but they were just jumps. We didn't trail them up and jump them and run them and tree them. They were just, you know, a jump and a pop up.
Yeah. BB is talking about eastern North Carolina and Virginia. I think there's a population of cat hunters over there on the East Coast as well, around that, North Carolina. I've heard of some dogs coming from that country and stuff, but I don't. I sent a dog to South Carolina, I think, a pup, but um, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody over there, but I do know there's some cat hunters over there. So there must be a few bobcats anyway.
Anyway, anything else? How about
That's it.
questions? Anybody got any questions? In the There's 95 eyeballs in this place.
They just need to make sure and tell Brett to edit his video kindly on
Man, there's
March
not
the 4th.
editing. The only thing I'll edit is out any bad words and
Oh, I wouldn't.
any if
You
we
ain't
get
got to worry about that with
and
me.
if we get to talking about other houndsmen bad, I'll edit that out. But
Yeah.
everything else, man, it's on limited editing. Matter of fact,
Uh,
if there's good phone service there, we should just go live for the whole hunt. Just an all night live hunt.
that would be pretty cool.
If
It
you can do it with good phone service.
or maybe you could set an alert to go live when we start a cat. We can be hunting, but even when we're roading around, just the conversation will be pretty interesting. Uh, I don't know if you're going to be able to contact anybody over there to do an interview with, but uh, if you do, and whoever it is, make sure and invite them hunting with us if they want to, if they'd like to go hunt one night with us, and you and me and him and Derek in the truck one night would maybe make a pretty decent interview.
I think, excuse me, uh, I'd like to get a hold of Van Johnson. He's over there in Oklahoma. And I've already talked to him a few times, and he said that he'd sit down and interview, and of course Otis, I don't know where he's going to be, but if he's over here in New Mexico, I think I might go over and talk to him next week if I have time.
While
And
he's there.
and then Joel Garnett, he goes into Oklahoma all the time and hunts, and he's from Tucumcari, so I could now that I mean I'm retired, I'll have time to go talk to a bunch of these guys.
Yeah, you're not retired yet. You're getting there though.
I can feel it. I mean, I can feel this, I can feel a little bit of relief, I guess. But
Yeah,
last 3 years been hard on me. I mean,
yeah.
it's taking its
Uh,
toll. I've been busy,
you've done a lot of work.
lots of work.
You've done a lot of work. You've driven all over the damn country.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, man, look forward to see you in a few weeks, and it'll be fun, and I think it'll be pretty neat to take some video and see what them dogs do up there.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'll
and
have
if we have good enough service up there, we can try to go live when the dogs start a cat or something, and let everybody uh, watch some Turtle Man live action.
that'd be good.
So
Oh
I
man,
take
next.
trashy terriers into mediocre country and walk big circles. That's pretty good.
Okay, here's one we should end on right there. I don't know whether I should take that as a compliment or an insult.
That's pretty good. Well, Brett, see you in a couple weeks, man. Appreciate it.
Sounds good, Cody. We'll see
Look
you.
forward to it. Bye bye.
Guys, thanks for dropping in. Go to W Supply and buy a t shirt or a cup or a sticker. Help us out. All right. Thank you. Till next time.